Hey everyone, welcome to the next installment of our wonderful authors today. I'm very happy to introduce Lady Belladonna LaVeau, Archpriestess of the Aquarian Tabernacle Church International.
Hey, it's so great to be here. Thank you so much, Nimmer, for introducing me. I'm so excited to talk to you this morning about the ABCs of Witchcraft, which is the series of books that I have written. Some of you may be familiar with my book, Awakening Spirit. It's been out in circulation since 2004. So this is the next level for today's market. It is 2 smaller books instead of 1 large book. And then the third book, Channeling Divinity, is currently in production, and we're hoping to have it out by winter. All right. So Accelerated Wicca Between the World, Channeling Divinity, the ABCs of Wicca, and there's actually a D on there. And then isn't it fun how it happened like that? So I am the Dean of Wiccan Seminary.edu and the Archpriestess of the Aquarian Tabernacle Church. I started my path when I was very young. I first remember talking to God when I was 5 years old. And I won't go into that story, but I have always been able to talk to God, and I thought that everybody could. And it was through my journeys that I discovered that I was different, and that and that is how I wrote these books. Awakening Spirit is not the first book I wrote. I wrote another book that's never been published. It's about nutrition and health and all of that kind of stuff, because I have been into self-help since I was very young. My mother was into self-help, and so church became to me just another way of helping yourself, spiritually aligned. And so I really loved church until I grew up and really couldn't understand why it made me feel so bad, and the guilt didn't work for me. And so when I had my own children, I did a bunch of things. I joined the military. I worked as a hospital corpsman. I worked as a secretary. I went to a career counselor. They said that I should be either a secretary or a doctor, nurse. Well, they said nurse because it was the 80s. But I really wasn't close to that. I was way off in this gray area where there wasn't anything else. And I thought that was weird. So I tried both of those things and I learned from them. And then when I had my children, I had an opportunity to be at home while my husband was working. And I sat down and I started writing what the goddess started telling me. And I did not know where this was going or what this was going to lead to. But what it ended up being is a training system in magic that works right around the wheel of the year that I have over here. Y'all seen this before. It's all over the internet. When I was really excited when I looked up Wheel of the Year pictures on Google one time, and this picture came up. It was really cool. But this is a system of magic that I literally wrote down as I listened to the words coming into my head from meditation. Right? I was trained by a Gardnerian witch named Paul DeMartin. He's passed on now, but he was trained through the Gardnerian branch of Janet Farah's line. And I never really felt like the Sabbats flowed for me. And I had a lot of questions about why the circle was set up the way it was. I mean, we go to call air in the east, but there's no air over there. There's fire and there's water, right? And so I couldn't figure out why we were calling air there. And I had a lot of different questions, like why are there more incantations in the third and fourth quarter call than there are in the first 2? Why? It used to drive the Mormon elders crazy that I would ask them all of these questions about Mormonism. But you know, they usually had an answer. It just didn't always gel with me. So when I asked these questions, Goddess would give me answers, and they would lead to things. And I would write down these chapters, these blurbs of information that she would give me. I would just write it out. And once it got all written out, it was this volume of information. And over the 15 years of receiving this and channeling the wheel and putting this all together, this is a spiral curriculum for teaching magic. And the books are based on the same kind of school of thought, so it all works together. You know, when you're studying craft, you can get on a tangent. You can avoid certain things. You can be like, oh, I don't like that. I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to study that because I don't care about that. And that leaves gaps in your training, right? So if you follow the wheel of the year that the goddess laid out for us as Wiccans, you know, we worship the Sabbats and the moons as the sun and the moon appear to go around the earth. We celebrate them at different times, right? And same thing, this goes with that to tell us how to do that. This is the wheels in a lot of the different traditions of Wicca, such as Sabbats. It's got the Dendera, astrology, the runic calendar, pantheons, sacred geometry, the tarot, and they all are lined up so that when you read one spoke, and you're like, hey, what is a star all about? I don't know if you guys do this, but this is back in the old days before we had the wheel. We would get out all these different books that about the Sabbats, and we would read everything about Imbolg, right? And we'd be like, okay, let's put together, I like this whole broom sweeping over here. Oh, I like this candle lighting thing over here. Let's throw all of these things together. But when you use the wheel and you understand what all of these things are, the messages reveal themselves to you magically, because every year it's the same wheel, but every year the sun and moon are at a different place in the sky. So instead of just following rote things, getting rituals out of books, the ABCs of Wicca teach you how to connect with deity and do magic right here, right now. So like there's all these mythologies and there's all these stories about what pagans used to do, but the stars are not aligned with that time period. Things are happening right now that are relative to right now. And when you learn the basic principles of witchcraft, you can sit and stare at things and they'll talk to you, right? I say that to my students. Witches sit and stare at things until they reveal their secrets. That's what we do. But you have to know how to do that, right? And so these books right here, this one teaches you the principles. When you have a problem, you can't figure it out, you go back to the principles and you apply the principles and the problem will solve itself. These are basic principles of witchcraft. It's broken up into 3 parts. Each chapter is broken up into 3 parts. It experiences cosmic law, foundational energetics, and then Wiccan philosophy. So what that tells you is that, and it's based on the wheel of the year. Okay, so chapter 1 in all of my works starts with Aries, right? The introduction is considered pre-Aries, which would be right here with Pisces. And then Aries is chapter 1. And then we just work around the wheel, right? We just work around the wheel. So each time you get to another book, you're going to start at Aries and you're going to work around the wheel. And then each time you go back through it, you're going to learn deeper stuff and deeper stuff and deeper stuff. And once you get to the end, you can go back to the beginning and do the whole thing again and get deeper stuff. Because what we understand about the universe and the way the goddess teaches her children is that she teaches us on a spiral, right? we're all the same standing at Ostara. We're all experiencing the same Sabbath, but the priestess in the middle is experiencing a different Sabbath than the neophyte, who this is the first time they were at Ostara and they don't know what's going on yet. And they're wondering why people are drawing stars in the air with knives, right? And that person's having a different experience than the elder who's had 50 Ostaras and they're sitting in a chair and they're almost dozing off and they're hoping that something new happens at this Ostara. Right? And that's also different from the young priestess who's been to 5 or 6 Ostaras, and this is the time that she gets to be in ritual, and she's getting to call a quarter, or she's getting to hold a roll, and she's getting to do a presentation. See, all these levels are different, but it's the same ritual. And that's the magic, okay? You don't try to cater the experience to all these levels. That happens magically. That happens organically. You just create the experience that the goddess delivers to you through you as the priestess, and it flows. And that's how it works. You first use accelerated Wicca and you learn the principles. All right. And I say it's magic straight to the point, because I don't like to waste a lot of time jumping all over the place and explaining every detail and running off on tangents and stuff like that. The way I like to train my students and the way my books are written is I work on the chakra system. It's the same system as on this wheel over here, all right? The chakras are actually on here because at Aries, we're working on root chakra. And then we move sacral chakra with Taurus and Beltane, right? And then we move to wheel chakra with Litha. And then we move to heart chakra with Lammas, throat chakra with Mabon, third eye with Samhain, Yule with Crown, right? And then the transpersonal point for Imbolc, and then we start all the way back over at the beginning of the wheel. Cool, huh? Yeah, so all the training is like that. So when you get the training for cosmology, energetics, and theology, it takes that information and it kind of surrounds that chakra energetic point of the wheel, which is a point of magic, right? Your chakras are your internal points of magic, and if you learn how to use them, right, you can do magic in much more higher minded ways, but very shamanically and in the moment. Okay, instead of drawing a bunch of symbols in the air and stuff like that, you just use the energy system in your body that's already there, right? Although I do like drawing symbols in the air because I am a witch at heart and I do light a lot of candles and incense. You don't need it. And that's the point. Okay, right? And then the second book is Between the Worlds. It actually teaches you how to cast and call sacred space. But I think the real value of Between the Worlds is that it teaches you the whys and the hows and what the word means and how all of the tools actually work. Like when you're holding a knife, what's happening with the energy? When you're holding a chalice, what's happening with the energy? Why you're bowing, how you're bowing, the different nuances of what you're doing. And that's why we call it Keys to the Realms of Magic, because it helps you in the sense of when you sit down at a desk and you crank up your computer and you get your mouse going and your screen comes alive and you've got a pad of paper and your day timer and your pen and your coffee, which I don't have any coffee, but you're at a workstation, right? The sacred space, cast and call, setting up the altar, calling the quarters, invoking the gods, that is your workstation when you're a magical person, when you're a witch, when you're a Wiccan. We do it a specific way in Wicca. Now, do we do it a specific way in Wicca, really? Yeah, we really do. Now, we do it in a lot of different ways, but that's the beauty of Wicca, okay? There's a framework, and if you understand the rules, then you can find the individual use of it that speaks to your soul. And that's why it's an art form because every witch is different. Yes, there are basic rules. Yes, there are certain elements. Are there 4 elements? Are there 7 elements? I mean, it can be made an argument for everything. Learn the ground rules. Figure out what speaks to you. Make sure you understand things before you change things. That's what's really important about magic, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you're like, well, why is this shape this way? Well, that's a question that you should find out before you decide that you don't need to use this shape and that you'll go with this shape. So say if I had a chalice here, baby, hand me that chalice right there. So the shape of this represents the passage through the underworld. If I don't know that, and I decide that we're just using this because it holds water, and then this holds water, then I can just use this as well. And then I'll substitute this and not use this because, you know, this isn't practical. The stem breaks and, you know, people might knock it over. It might spill. This has got a straw, you know, there's more. But this has purpose that you don't yet know. And if you take that out and you put this in, you've lost a mystery. And when you use this, it shows you all of the holes and where the mysteries are lost or they're turned around or they don't line up and they don't make sense, because this is a scientific baseline for studying magic. So I said that before, but did you get it? Because when you're studying scientific things like experimenting, such as I'm going to light this candle and I'm going to put this energy into it and then I'm going to watch and see if it works. You know, a book of shadows, right? A book of shadows, you record your spells and the results thereof. If you ever took science class, which I did, I love science class, it's very similar, right? So when you're studying magic, you're basically walking around in the darkness. You need a guide. You know how people are like, where's the path? Where's the path? Show me the path. Show me the path. Well, it's in the sky. It's called the elliptical. And I've written it down on this piece of paper, and I've put the interpretations of all of the prophets and seers and mages of magic that is specifically applies to Wicca, right, on here, so that you can see it and walk it and decipher it and meditate on it and let it speak to you and tell you the magic that the goddess and the gods have to tell you, right? Because learning how to be a witch just like that other witch and being able to do things just like that other witch is, I mean, it's great. We need historians to be able to say, this is exactly how they did it then. That's important stuff. Because remember here, and when we decided that this was too fragile and the stem broke and we didn't want to do it, and the only reason we had a cup was so that we could drink around the circle, historians go, no, 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 no. Originally, we had this. I was watching National Geographic and they started talking about a cingulum and how a cingulum was a mason's tool and that it was a rope. It was a continuous circular rope that had 12 knots tied in it that were exactly 1 foot apart, and masons used it to measure out their craft, and you absolutely had to get it from another mason. So it was an initiate's tool. You couldn't just make one of those. You had to know how to make it, and you had to have somebody sit there with you and help you measure out those knots so that they were perfect, and you had to learn how to do all that. We use cingulums in witchcraft. We tie this rope around our belt. It's got certain knots in it that mean certain things. It's changed over time. Historians are important because they remind you of that. And they help us stay on that path, which is what the wheel does too. It helps you stay on your path in a mental capacity, right? Stay in the guard lanes of the road, not run off and take a drink in the brink, creek, whatever it is, branch. That's the one. Branch and creek come out, brink. So you stay on the road that way. And that's really important when you're studying witchcraft, because you ever met anybody who like went off on a tangent in witchcraft and you're like, wait, come back. And they're like, no, no, no. I was this person in a past life and I'm going to go study this and I'm going to go do this thing to the death of it. And you're like, okay, well, right? I've seen that. I know you've seen that. So that is why people say you can go crazy when you study the path, because you can just go off on a tangent. You can find the shiny thing. You can, like the moth to the flame, right? All animals are teaching us something important. Sometimes that guiding light is a guiding light, and sometimes it's a flame and you just will run right into it. So you have to be careful of what you're following, and you have to protect your mind. And that is what the ABCs of witchcraft teach you. And after you master that, after you master the principles so that you can protect your mind and use your magic, and you start to wake up and you're like, oh, wait, look, boom, look, boom. Then you learn how to cast and call, then channeling divinity. Channeling divinity is an intense year of shadow work. It is set up on a timed kind of thing, like you're supposed to work certain things at certain times of the year because that's when the energy is. Like, imagine trying to experience the energy of Yule at Beltane. Now, you can think, oh, and you can put up pictures and you can look at it and you can project yourself into a winter setting and you can remember what Yule was like, but you can't experience what Yule is like if it's not Yule, right? That's part of that class, is following the wheel all the way around and experiencing the nuances and letting it unfold your soul and letting it open your chakras so that the energy can flow through you really powerfully, right? But it's also a lot of shadow work, which is fun and exciting because shadow work shows you where you're sabotaging yourself and keeping yourself from fully embodying your magic. So as you go through the wheel of the year, your chakras go boom, 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 and they get bigger. And then by the end of the year, you're like, Mom, look what I can do. Ah! Instead of poof, poof, right? So channeling divinity is a very, very exciting work. It's the sophomore class at Wolstenstein Theological Seminary. And it's like my baby. It's the class that I still teach, because what it does for the witch is it takes your chakra that's kind of, it's there, but it hadn't really been recognized and validated and exercised and opened up, and taught how to work like it wants to, but it just hasn't been given the opportunity yet. And so we give you the keys to really open up those chakras and learn what they do magically and use them in that way. And then you practice that 6 weeks using that magic and mastering it. It's like jujitsu Wicca, right? But for your spirit instead of for your body. Yeah, but it's shadow work. So the magic works in your life, right? My whole program is about the fact that magic is real. Yes, we can really make things happen with spells. Yes, you can really make things happen with your mind. No, you don't really need to light a candle. You just need to focus really hard, and the candle helps you focus really hard, right? Right? So your magic is alive today. And you were called to be here on this planet today. And you are listening today because you have gifts to give. And it is my calling to help people unwrap those gifts and figure out what they are and to put them in play. And that's what I like to do. I like to help people. They go, oh my God, I've got this calling. This is what I really want to do. This is what I really want to do. This is what I really want to do. I go, oh, hey, I have exactly the peg hole that you are right over here. I'm going to stick you right in because I have all of these opportunities as the archpriestess. I have all of these opportunities for people. So by going through the ABCs of witchcraft, you really get yourself in a place where you can step into your power. And by stepping into your power, people see that and they're drawn to it, and they want you to express yourself to the world in the way that deity calls you to do so, right? to express your perfection and make the world a better place. And in that way of you being the best you can be, the best expression of you, then when we all make the world a better place, right? If we're all the best expression of ourselves, then together we weave that web of goddess intention and we transform the planet into what she intends for it to be, what she desires for it to be, what she hopes for it to be. So by following that pursuit, you're manifesting not only your will, but the will of deity. And finding the will of deity is a process. But not only is that a process, being able to actually do what she asks you to do is a journey. And that involves the shadow work, and that involves walking the wheel, and it involves a lot of patience and courage, which is why we have covens, because patience and courage allows us to work together and support each other, because humans are social creatures. So I'm going to go into a little bit more about channeling divinity and actually how that course unfolds. That was a quick overview so that you can get an idea. Are there any questions that anybody would like to ask? Nimra, do we have questions yet?
We do not, but you asking may bring some forth, and give it like 25 seconds, and then I'm sure we'll get some. Otherwise, we can continue. I will add my 2 cents as having gone through sophomore year and freshman year and whatnot, and walking this spiral with you. It is intense and very transformative, and very life-changing and very fulfilling. I've never been in such a good place to be a force of power before. So I'm grateful for you and your knowledge.
Thank you, honey. And you know how I said that King was going to log me in at 10 and I was going to make sure that I was logged out? Well, it seemed to have logged me in at 10:01. So I was like, oh yeah, it's not going to do it. So I'm just going to turn my ringtone off. And now I have fixed that. So nice little station break. No questions? Oh wait,
nope.
I think
You're getting some love.
Questions. Okay, thank you, Skyfae. I love you too. So cool thing about channeling divinity. In channeling divinity, you actually spend the entire year invoking different aspects of divinity so that you get to know them personally, but also so that you get to know how you express that in energy, right? There's all these different pantheons. And some people are like, oh, I really like the Norse pantheon. Oh, I really like the Egyptian pantheon. Oh, I really like the Greek pantheon. But do you? I mean, like, how much do you know about them? You know their stories? Do you know all of the deities? Like, do you know them personally, or have you just read their stories, right? And do you just like the story that you heard of Hathor because your mother read it to you when you were a kid? Or has Hathor come to you and said, you are my priestess, serve me? Like, there's all these different levels of, ooh, I'm a Satru, or I'm Norse, or ooh, I am labeled. Okay, so in channeling divinity, we explore a bunch of different realms so you can make sure that the limitations and labels that you have put on yourself are accurate and valid. And we challenge you to look outside those boundaries and make sure that there's not something else out there that's really important for you that you might be deciding that that's not for you because you're not that, right? Okay, so we start out in black with Hecate, the All-Mother, and we open ourselves up. We understand that Hecate's got a journey for us, and we learn how the course works and what's going to happen, and we wear black for that month, for that 6 weeks while we're in Imbolc. We wear black because we're honoring the All-Mother, and we're preparing, and we're learning patience. And then as we move into red, which is the root chakra, black's the transpersonal point, by the way. It's where you get to the top of the slide and then you go down and you start the ride over. Yeah, there's a song about that called Helter Skelter. I like that song. So you go to root chakra. Root chakra is red. read an Ostara and Aries and Warrior, and you explore that beginning, that boom, that warrior power, right? That projective energy, that, ooh, me first, I want to try it. I'm willing to die for that, right? But not really, because it's children. Children aren't really willing to die for it because they don't understand the concept. So we look at why you have those energies, what they're for, what they do for you, and how you specifically express that. And the way we do that is we invoke those energies and work with them internally. But we also look at our astrology chart, because your astrology chart is your personal, manual, your instruction manual. I was going to say information kit, instruction manual, right? So like I wasn't born with an instruction book. I don't know how to operate this vehicle, but we were. It's called our natal chart. You just have to learn how to read it. I was so excited when I found out I had an instruction book. I was like, oh my goodness. Now I know how to run this vehicle, because astrology teaches you so much stuff about yourself. It teaches you about your health, about your disposition, but it also teaches you how your chakras work with the gods, and which gods are working with you and which gods aren't so much working with you, or which gods are for you and which gods may not be on your side, which ones you should ask for help and which ones you should not call attention to yourself. And we explore every one of those realms. Warriors, you're like, what kind of warrior am I? Wiccans often have a difficult time with that, because they're like, I am the benevolent warrior. I don't fight. But we talk about, what are you willing to fight for? And you get in tune with that, because you are willing to fight for something, or you wouldn't be on the planet. We're like, oh, are you willing to fight for children? Oh, I'm willing to fight for children. Okay, there you go. And we explore those things. And then we get to lovers. And then we go into sun and moon gods. Then teaching gods and healing gods, king gods, death gods, right? Crossing over into the underworld gods, crossroad gods, which Hecate gets played twice, but you know, that's how she is, right? It's her prerogative to sit on two parts of the wheel. She's actually the whole thing. Just ask her, she'll tell you. But as you go around the wheel, you get to invoke each one of these energies. And you get to see how it manifests within you. But you also get to see how it manifests within your classmates. And you see that it's not all the same. There are similar things about it, but it's not all the same. And when that happens, what happens to you is you can see the things that are the same in everybody, and you can know that that's deity. That's the pure essence of it. And then you can see, this is how deity expresses itself within you. And the awareness helps create a sacred union inside of yourself that you respect, and that makes everything blossom, right? And as we go through the chakras, we explore those gifts that you unlock within yourself, the respect and the confidence and the self-love and the sense of purpose, and also you unlock abilities with it, like the telepathy and intuition, and being able to be empathic and feeling other people's feelings, or grounding and shielding, all of the different powers that come with these chakras. So it's a whole year of, like, I like to say, this is your chakra and we're gonna turn it up. And it gets bigger and your power gets bigger, and then you grow and you go up and you go up and you go up. And at the end of it, it's a bigger, better you. If you apply yourself, but it's the bigger, better you that you want to be, not the bigger, better you that anybody else wants you to be, because it's between you and the gods. And we just kind of hold the platform for you to explore, because I believe that your magic is the most powerful magic that you can experience, and that a teacher's job is to just reveal your magic to you and teach you how to use your magic, right? Take those things within you that you think are different or weird or bad, and show them how show you how they're gifts, and how they make you unique and special, and how, when used in the appropriate way, they help you win. They help you be successful in life, and they help you find your own divinity and your own place in the universe. So that's the purpose of the ABCs of witchcraft, because being a witch, it's fun to be able to have power and to be able to create change in the world. But if you're creating change based on fear and hate and jealousy, and that person's got something that I don't have, so I'm mad at them, so I'm going to cast against them. Let me throw my left hand out. I'm pointing at a window, by the way. And that's not good, right? That is not good. You have to peel away the ugliness inside, the hate, the pain, the misery, the anger, and you have to take responsibility for, my life is set up this way because I have a specific set of lessons to learn in order to cultivate a certain perspective so that I can accomplish a specific thing. There's all these perspectives. This is happening to you so that you can learn something. And if you decide that this is happening to you and you're mad about it and you want to attack your world, then we shouldn't teach you witchcraft because you're going to hurt people with it, right? That's why we start here. That's why we start here, because this helps you understand where you can use the principles. All the principles can be used for good and bad. And then once we start peeling away, it gets much easier. Bill says, walking the path has helped me move forward with the path I need to walk. Yeah, because that's what it's all about. It's not about, hey, learn this specific thing, because it is about blossoming and growing the soul and stepping into a better future, right? Making the world a better place together by being the best version of you. Whatever that is an expression of deity. In witchcraft, we say, thou art God, thou art goddess. And what that means is that you've incarnated on this planet as a deity, and we know that, and we're just waiting on you to figure it out, right? We're all just waiting on you to figure it out. And then when you figure it out, you'll be able to express the deity within you to the planet. And then you will be an unstoppable force for good. Now, I'll also tell you in class that good and bad are relative terms, right? They're relative to the person speaking. But if you think what you're doing is good and you've done all your shadow work and you're in tune with deity, and deity is saying, hey, this is the race I want you to run, then running that race is good, right? It's good for you. It's good for you, should be good for everybody else. Because that's how the goddess works. We're all intertwined, and we don't know how we are intertwined. We don't know that running this particular race is going to inspire this particular person to go and solve world hunger, you know, or that by this particular one night stand, you're going to give birth to this particular child who's going to do. You don't know. You just know that the ways of the underworld are perfect and not to be questioned. And the challenges that greet you on the path are the challenges you picked for you, because they're the ones you need to grow. And that association, that walking of the path is perfect. And it can't be anything other than perfect. And as you embrace that power of, these are my lessons because this is what I'm supposed to learn, and you accept them as challenges instead of setbacks, they just become stepping stones for your growth, and you are living your best life. And that's why the ABCs of Wicca, it's all about living your best life, learning how to harness the magic that you're already using and using it to accomplish the goals you want, instead of using it randomly, not knowing it, to destroy your world and sabotage yourself and cause your friends a lot of grief and your partners a lot of anger and your children a lot of frustration, your parents, right? So if you go boom on the world a lot, there's an impact for that. If you share positive, peaceful, joyous energy on the world, things come back to you. What you send out in the world comes back to you. You can rage against the machine that's going to come back to you. You can accept your place in the world and bloom where you're planted, and that will come back to you. And if you can mindfully and consciously make choices that allow you to walk with humility and respect upon the planet, while at the same time powerfully, actively propel yourself towards accomplishing your goals, then that is the balance, right? That is that which we seek. And that is the goal of the ABCs of Witchcraft. I hope you enjoyed listening to me. Nimmer has posted my website in the chat there, belladonnalaveau.com. You can find out all about me there. You can also find out about a lot of my endeavors. You can go to atcwicca.org. That's the church site. All right. I have a lot of stuff going on. I'm a priestess of Aphrodite, Demeter, Hera, and Hecate, Fortuna, Kuan Yin, and Athena, Persephone. There we go. That's my list. And Mary's trying, like, me too. Okay, Mary, mother of Jesus, mother of God. So there's a lot of complexity within my path. There's a lot of complexity within your path. You can't just be one thing. You are many, many, many things. You are a treasure chest that never stops revealing powerful truths. And as you walk the wheel year after year after year after year, I wish you the most fun and excitement in the adventure of unwrapping the gift that is you. Thank you so much. You honor me with your attention. Are they available? I think they are. Sola Knox is the editor, and she's big on putting things on electronic format. So I would say yes. Channeling Divinity should be out this winter. I've got 3 books on the market right now. Awakening Spirit is the first volume. It's a big tome, and it does have information in there that the other 2 books don't have. But Accelerated Wicca and Between the Worlds are basically a republication of Awakening Spirit, basically. So it just depends on whether or not you want that missing information. Have you have any experience with visually impaired witches? I have not worked a lot with visually impaired people. I work a lot virtually. So no, but I do know that disabilities come with their own gifts. When you cannot see, there are a lot of things that you learn from your other senses. And by blindfolding somebody, you teach them a lesson, right? If you have to live your life not being able to see, there are gifts within that. So I encourage everybody to look at their perceived weaknesses and see how it serves them. How does it enhance their experience? Yes, it does take away from your experience. If you can't get out of a wheelchair and you can't walk around, there is a dampening to your experience of being able to walk around. But there are other things that you get that other people don't get. And my challenge to you is to focus on what you do get from your disability, what it does give you, because that lesson of acceptance and gratitude is where your truth will set you free. All right. Thank you for that question. I hope that answered it. Any other questions? You can ask me anything. Why does the moon have green cheese? Why is the moon made of green cheese? That's one of my favorite questions. Somebody asked me, I can ask you anything? Why is this? Oh, Jack, I would love for you to work with me. So if you would like to work with me, I really enjoy helping people be successful. I'm a success coach and a success strategist. Strategizing your success is like the puzzles. It's like my Sudoku, right? So you can write me at belladonnalaveau@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can also go to atcwicca.org and you can make an appointment with me under the services tab. There is a access to my schedule right there. You can make an appointment with me. 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. You know, please be respectful of my time, obviously, but I would love to talk to you and help you get going and you know, see how you can serve the goddess. Yep, WiccanSeminary.edu is where our school is. That is a real college. We give out real degrees from associates to doctorate. Our doctorate and master's program, our graduate studies is not happening right now. We lost our PhD for reasons that uncontrollable. And until we get a new PhD to oversee our program, we cannot run our graduate studies. But bachelor's and associates is full swing, and it is all held in a format that is very similar to this format right here, where you can access it from any web browser. Okay. It was so much fun to talk to you today. Please reach out to me, friend me on Facebook, say hello, let me know how you enjoyed the thing, if you got anything out of it, if you need, if you want. I'm all about getting to meet you and get to know you. I'm very accessible. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you enjoy the festival.